making sure that we are working with, we are inspiring, and we're involved in the lives of our young people in Kansas City. So thank you, John, for a lifetime of service. We are here for a simple purpose, and I am pleased today to announce a $2 million grant from the U.S. Department of Justice to continue to combat violence in our community. A portion of this grant will fund a 3-year contract with the Mattie Rhodes Center to assemble a Hispanic and Latino response team and community health workers to meet with Latino survivors following a violent event and to conduct street outreach in our Latino neighborhoods. We recognize that for years in Kansas City we have done street outreach, but we have not done it fairly and equitably in every part of our city. We have not broken down language barriers. Sometimes we haven't broken down even broader neighborhood barriers. We thank Mattie Rhodes for cooperating with us in our ability to do that. We recognize in Kansas City too many of our communities are impacted by gun violence, and we know that we need to reach out to our youth increasingly at a younger age. 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds who are experiencing trauma in our community. So I thank you all for being part of that important discussion with us. We also recognize that cooperation is key, and that's why you see everyone here today. Deputy Chief of Police Luis Ortiz, who's been working with violent crimes for years, but who's making a tremendous impact in our community, making sure that we see that cooperation. My brother Rashid from Aim4Peace, who has done a wonderful job in making sure that we keep doing the work to get out to communities, to intervene, to get out to people, and ensure that we all believe that we can stop gun violence. And then two of the most impressive and important women in this city. Our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Jennifer Collier, who for more than 2 decades has been involved in, has been inspiring, and has been doing the hard work in KCPS. We are blessed, we are grateful, we are thankful to have her as our permanent Superintendent of Schools. And we thank you for continuing to do this valuable work. And Dr. Marvia Jones, you know, about a year ago, I don't even remember exactly, I had a call with Dr. Jones and I said, you should think about being health director. And she said, well, you know, it seems kind of challenging right now. And I'm like, it won't be that hard. And it has been something. But she is committed each and every day to addressing all of the issues that are impacting population health in our community. And she recognized, and it's a study for an entire career, the impact of gun violence and how we can help prevent it. All the folks here will come up and speak. I'll come up and answer some questions, but I want to say, importantly, that we are going to make sure that when we talk about violence prevention, it isn't in one neighborhood, it isn't in one community, that we will touch each one. And I will say, and I'll actually apologize to John and to so many others, because we have not always made the same commitment with the Latino community that we have with others. We have been behind in too many situations. We haven't broken down barriers that we needed to. I hope today is a clean break from that. So thank you, John, for helping us with that opportunity, and I turn it over to you.
You know, the rare times that I get to follow the mayor, it has really been about him announcing resources for the Hispanic, him for his leadership for everyone in Kansas City. And I think I've seen this more than twice where he is very focused on leveraging resources for the entire community, and in particular the Hispanic community. So we greatly appreciate that, Mayor. Thank you to Dr. Marvia Jones for entrusting the Mattie Rhodes Center in the implementation of this new citywide grant. Our unique services model, impacts more than 20,000 individuals a year and is aligned with improving the personal health of Kansas City's Hispanic population. As a nationally accredited organization, our team of professionals, many of them over here, work to integrate our services focused on education, healthcare, economic development, environmental placemaking, and community betterment. Now in our 2nd century of community services, Mattie Rhodes Center is prepared to partner with Aim4Peace and utilize the Department of Justice funds. We will hire 3 bilingual English and Spanish street outreach workers to de-escalate violence throughout our city. We will partner with neighborhood associations, school systems, churches, and peer organizations to provide social services to Hispanic families impacted by violence, and we'll work with the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department, the Jackson County Prosecutor's Office, the media, civic leaders, and elected officials to integrate our efforts to reduce violence in Kansas City. Finally, this partnership builds upon the work of our team at Mattie Rhodes Center. First of all, I'd like to share with you, more than a decade ago, my good friend Joe Arce, who's the publisher of Kansas Hispanic newspaper, came to me following the tragic murder of his teenage nephew, and really spoke to the importance of bringing attention to those Hispanic families that were impacted by homicides in our city. And it was from there we began to provide counseling services and social emotional support to our families. Joe, thank you for having the foresight to bring us really where we are today. And to many of our social workers, many of them over off to my right, who are in the public schools, the charter schools, the parochial schools, providing very important social, emotional support to our children in times of need where they are at, as well as to the families. And I also want to bring attention to the advocacy efforts of our board of directors, our volunteers, who work tirelessly to bring resources to Kansas City's Hispanic population. And with that, I would just say again, thank you, Mayor Lucas, Dr. Jones, for your trust in us, and we will not let you down.
To be able to reduce violence in our community. Currently, we have the other part of this program underway. We've canvassed 215 hours already in this particular year, and we have 27 participants that we've enrolled in this program. Well, you know, Mattie Rhodes is going to double that, though, right? They're going to match that and some. And so we just are trying to make sure that we expand this work. This should be just the start of the work in the Latino community, because you need way more workers than 3 workers, right? So we need way more workers in this area to be able to do this work. And one of the reasons we began to contemplate that we need to focus on the Hispanic community, looking at the numbers of homicides and shootings in the Hispanic community, and they're high. And we want to reduce those numbers. Many times we went to the hospital bed and we had a barrier because we didn't speak Spanish. I didn't go to that class like the mayor did. I skipped that class of Spanish. And so at a homicide scene, you know, we weren't able to communicate. But now we're able to communicate with those families because Mattie Rhodes is on the field and doing this work. So we should applaud our city, our health director for taking on this initiative. And this only marks a part of what we're going to be doing in terms of violence prevention. You've heard about a lot of the initiatives that's underway. Dr. Jones is professionalizing the service and encouraging us to get out and do more. And I'm sure she'll expand on more of our comprehensive strategy to do this work. We just thank Mattie Rhodes for being a willing partner for us here today with Aim4Peace and moving the work forward to stop violence. Thank you.
Can we get your name, sir?
Rashid, Junaid.
You with?
I'm with Aim4Peace, and that is a part of our Kansas City, Missouri Health Department.
Thank you.
We form interventions that specifically address those risk factors. So, for instance, we know, we can predict which communities, which neighborhoods, which areas, which parts of our city are more likely to experience violence, which populations are more at risk. We know that people who have financial distress inside their home. We know that areas where there is not the best academic achievement. We know that neighborhood historical disinvestment is a risk factor. And we know that exposure, or previous exposure to violence, is a risk factor. And so when Rashid talks about the things that Aim4Peace is already doing and how this partnership will benefit us with Mattie Rhodes, it makes sense that we are addressing key risk factors. We know that some people have already been exposed. We know that some people, even more people, are at greater risk. And so we are developing, we're happy for city leadership, the mayor and his office, who have been working fervently to not only advocate for policies that make a difference and decrease some of the stress and strain on some of our neighborhoods, but also that financial support, right? We know that money, you know, to have things work well, money makes the world go round. And so we are really happy for the expansion and the support that our city leadership has put into place. One of the things that we will be doing to address some of those risk factors I mentioned to you and more include increasing the number of mentors, maybe those formal mentors as well as informal mentors in our city. Looking at how we clean our neighborhoods and how they look and feel. You've heard a lot of discussion already about trash and pickups and that sort of thing. These things are not separate. They are all integrated, and they all make a difference into how at risk our communities are, not just for things like violence, but for things like low graduation rates and opportunities for home ownership. And so I want you all to see these as integrated, connected issues, and they're not singular, which means that no single agency, no single department, as great as my health department team is, we aren't going to be able to do it alone. And so it is very important that we have partners like Mattie Rhodes and others, and we're so grateful for the city's support of these projects and programs. Thank you.
We serve 90% students of color in KCPS, and 27% of that population are Hispanic students, and that is our fastest growing demographic at KCPS. We also serve 24% of our students speak English as a second language. And so to know that we're going to have these additional resources and supports to help our families is amazing. We often say in Kansas City Public Schools that we cannot do this work alone. We rely on partnerships with our community to help us serve the whole needs of our children. We look to partner with agencies and partners who have missions and visions that align with ours. And over the years, Mattie Rhodes has been an organization that has wholeheartedly stood alongside KCPS and supported us in many ways. They provide mental health resources, staff for our buildings, mentors in our buildings, bilingual services, tutoring to our children, extracurricular activities, which is very important for our children to have. And so they have been a tremendous support to KCPS over the years. And so what this partnership signals for us is that there will be even broadened and deeper support that we can provide to our families. When I think of the needs of students, we know that learning is very important, academics are very important, but according to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you can't really get to the growth and self-realization that we all want to achieve as adults until we first have taken care of what's considered those needs, those physiological needs, those safety needs, mental and physical safety. And so through this work that will be moving forward, we'll be better positioned to support our children and our families for success in this community. So I want to commend all those who have been a part of these efforts, and we're looking forward to this continued partnership.
Being here, thank you very much. Anytime the community members benefit from such a program like this, it's a win-win for the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department and for everybody. We know that in the past, or we just talked about the violence and how that is affecting the northeast area of Kansas City, specifically Hispanics. In 2022, we had 17 homicides in this area. That's not even counting the 69 non-fatal shootings that we had. And something else that we haven't talked about is the mental health and substance abuse. We had 905 emotionally disturbed incidents that people were in crisis. And this is a great opportunity for us in the Hispanic community, for everybody to take notice of this. This is happening and we had to act. In the past, we always talked about how the police department is responsible for the crime that is happening here. But we also know that it takes a whole community to do better and to ensure that this is not happening anymore. Mattie Rhodes, Rashid, Aim4Peace, these are programs that we need. A few months ago, Rashid and I were in the Kansas City 360 meeting, and we talked about conflict resolution and how the lack of those skills is driving some of the violence that we see. Sure enough, I went back to watch all the videos of all the homicides and shootings that we had, and I realized, yes, conflict resolution is a problem. It used to be in the past that people will fight it out, or just argue. Now, people just pull a gun, and that's sad to see that in our community we don't have those skills. Mattie Rhodes, Aim4Peace is going to be providing those skills for the people that are still struggling in this area. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for your support, and I hope that this is a new beginning from this point on, and that we will do better in the future. Thank you.